What's going on, everybody? It is Chris Aiken from Aftershocks, and just wanted to remind you before we give you this next great interview that you should be subscribed to the CMS Podcast Network, cmspn.com. That is the web address. You can watch, you can listen, you can subscribe. Everything you need to do to catch not only this episode, but everything that we've done in the past. It's all over there on the CMS Podcast Network, as well as great shows from the Classic Metal Show, Shockwave Skull Sessions, Talk Toomey, and of course, Aftershocks TV. So sign up today and you will never be without entertainment again. All right, enough of this. Let me give you the interview you came here to see.
Well, guys, we've got Tuomas from Wolfheart here on the Talk Toomey podcast, and just appreciate you checking in from, are you in Finland?
I am in Finland. I'm very heavily stuck in Finland. I would, at this point, I would like to be anywhere else than Finland because, yeah, having like custom to travel and tour and be in places, see a lot of friends outside Finland, and now being stuck in Finland almost 1 year in a row. That's equally rough. It's not that the touring is the biggest thing I miss, but just traveling and being outside. I love Finland. I truly love Finland, but I love it more when I get to step out from the country quite often.
We're getting snow here, and I've got some woods in the backyard, and I was thinking, I was like, man, I really need a death metal band right now to come and do a photo shoot in my backyard because it looks like, you know, I've got some nice snow, some nice old trees. You know, I think we would look pretty good right now.
Yeah, that sounds like every Finnish metal band promo picture.
Oh, it's good stuff, man. Good stuff. Well, let's talk a little bit about Skull Soldiers, out March 5th. And man, as soon as I hit play on this, man, I was like a huge smile on my face, and it just sounds great. A fantastic EP.
Yeah. Well, was there a question hidden in there, or should I just take the compliments?
It's more of a compliment.
I am in Finland and from Finland, so we don't give compliments in that normal way, and we are very awkward of receiving those. So we always get, like I just did, like, what just happened? Kind of react. Thank you. It was a really interesting experience because we haven't done an EP before, so it was a little bit weird in the beginning just to focus on a few songs instead of like building one big like this whole piece of music with the album. So it was a different approach, but it was very interesting.
It's kind of cool, this story of the Skull Soldiers with the the war there, the Winter War, and you know, the Skull Soldiers is a small part of the Winter War. You know, this EP, small part of the previous album, things like that. So, you know, kind of getting into that, you know, I was reading the press release, obviously, and it says that, you know, you were told about these Skull Soldiers, and, you know, you kind of went down this rabbit hole. So kind of tell me about, you know, learning about the not only the Winter War, but getting deep into it and actually diving into things like the Skull Soldiers.
Yeah, I really thought that I did really good background work with the Wolves of Karelia album that was focused only on the Winter War, and but it was actually American reporter that has been very really into Finnish history and the Second World War and everything. And he mentioned that was I aware of this kind of like a small group, and I did see the picture of the guys at some point, but I didn't make the connection that they were actually Finnish. I don't know why, but then again, there's very little material of the guys. There's one picture of 4 guys, and but I just completely missed that. That would have been a perfect song for the previous full length. But that's why it was really good that the label gave us the opportunity to make this small sequel, so I could actually add this story into this Winter War thing. So
yeah, as getting ready to talk to you, you know, hitting YouTube and going down the rabbit holes of you, and now I'm into the Winter War. And I think after I talk to you, I think we're going to get into, we're going to go into like watching YouTube about the the Winter War, and I'm probably going to spend the rest of the day learning my Finnish history, getting learning everything. You guys were one of the bands that had started touring the previous album when this pandemic hit, and then you had to kind of scramble to do a live stream, and you had a bunch of merch made and things like that. So kind of talk me through the pandemic, what it did to you guys, and kind of how it derailed the previous album cycle.
That's well, we were supposed to be on the Devastation of the Nation tour, and it was canceled about 1 week before we were supposed to fly. And of course, the whole release schedule was based on that tour. So that was basically the tip of the spear when it comes to promotion and everything, and that was naturally a huge bummer. But I know there was bands that were in so much worse situation than us, like actually on the road. Like Insomnium, for example, they were already in North America. They started their tour. When you're in a different country and then the borders are shutting, that's a completely different level of complicated situation. So in a way, we were lucky that we didn't jump on the plane yet. The bus didn't leave from the warehouse. The merch wasn't shipped, so we were able to pull some kind of a handbrake. But of course, with the previous album, we did 140 gigs, and the lifespan of the album was about half a year, because we were constantly touring in different continents, and we were able to push the album, and now it was like 2 weeks.
Wow.
There was those countries in Europe that went into really heavy restrictions immediately, and there was countries where people couldn't even go to record stores. On the same week, we got the album out, and it's just like so it was. At the same time, we did understand how severe the whole thing. When you call something as a pandemic, it's then your album, and a little bit fucked up sales and fucked up promotion gets a little bit smaller role. It's not, if it would be like if our label would have fucked things up, and we would have been dropped from the tour, and the album just didn't get to the distribution, and the promotion was fucked up, that would be very frustrating. But when you look at the global situation, the whole world was shutting down, then you understand it's just a tour, it's just an album. Eventually we will make, well, hopefully we will make another tour. Eventually we will make next album. Hopefully we get to tour with that. But seeing how badly it was affecting the whole world, it kind of made things a little bit easier for us to understand. Like, now we just need to stop what we can and then just accept the defeats and see what happens next. And that's where we are at the moment, seeing what happens next.
Now, did Finland as a country help you guys out at all? Like, I don't know. I know some countries are, very pro art, some are not. I don't know how the arts are handled in Finland.
It was the Finnish government is supporting arts really well. But of course, at the same time, all the decisions made by the government are very badly damaging for the arts, because the venues are shut down. Everything from theater to musicals to actual gigs to bands, musicians, whatever is, they are taking the biggest damage. And there's some weird interpretations or weird lines in the orders from the government at the moment, because for example, you can have 100 people in a bar, depending on the capacity of the bar. I think it's like 50% or something. Haven't been in bars for a year now, so don't know exactly, but it's around, let's say it's around 100 if the venue capacity is 200. And if you put our CD on and there's 100 people drinking beer, everything is okay. If we go to the bar and play the same music, the capacity is 20. So that's there's a lot of frustration at the moment from the cultural side, because it doesn't seem fair what is being decided. But Finnish government is still supporting, and there's different ways to apply some funds from the government. They mainly it's not like we get like monthly money. That's a different thing. Like this is like if you're unemployed, then you get what you should get. But I think the government is supporting the arts as much as they can. Of course, the economy is fucked up also, so it's not like everybody probably in Finland understands that there's no money growing trees at the moment. Like the country is losing money from all directions anyway, so they're doing their best.
Sounds like you need to go on a take the CD to the bar tour. You go out, play the CD, and then maybe sign a few autographs at the end of the night. That is one of the best ideas I've heard for a while. But then again, at this moment, I don't want to be in a bar where there's 100 persons, even though there's been a lot of studies that the venues haven't been the biggest problem area. Right.
And there were some gigs happening in Finland in summer. We had a few festivals. We even played a few festival shows. And some of the venues were having gigs, and they had this same kind of thing that you have in airports when you are dividing people into queues.
Right.
I saw Amorphis was playing in that kind of a show where there was 30% of capacity. But I don't think that is the best solution anyway, because still the bar is losing money. Nobody wants to get you lose the whole live feeling when the audience has to be separated. They are just standing there. There's no mosh pits, or it's not you don't want to go and get drunk and stand awkwardly alone in a crowd.
I've done that many a time in a show, be the guy in the back of the bar, but as long as you don't take your CD to nursing homes, I think you'll be okay on this tour.
I don't think that would be our main market area. So I think that would be a safe call.
I'm trying to do the math real quick, but maybe some of the people that you played the CD for at the nursing homes were in the Winter War, if they're around 100, and they could be like, oh, we remember this. This was a good, we remember this time. I was actually a Skull Soldier,
I don't think it would be that happy reaction. No. Because I was actually the main, background work I did for the Wolves of Karelia was actually listening a lot of and reading a lot of interviews from the veterans, not to actually dive into it. I didn't want to make a Sabaton album that the lyrics are just basically documentation of some exact historical events. I wanted to write the album more from the point of the view of the individual soldiers, because that brings a lot more varied amount of stories. Like if I would tell a story about certain battle, that would be in Wikipedia already. That wouldn't be anything unique. So there was it was very I guess every war is traumatizing, but that wasn't not many happy stories. So I wouldn't want to be the one going reminding people that you were part of this, even though we kind of won, but it doesn't take away what happened. So
when you dive into something like that, is that, when you decide you're like, I'm going to write about this war, do you realize at the time how much, pain you're going to go through, learning about everyone's stories? And because if you're not just doing a broad stroke of, we did this, we did that, this has happened, blah, 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 but you actually went into each individual soldier's stories, and you kind of put yourself into those situations. And did you realize the kind of emotional toll you were about to embark on?
I did. And that was like a very inspiring with the songwriting. I was kind of writing these hero songs, my way to honor what happened, because if my generation, if as much as I would like to see myself as this brutal Viking warrior and just give me an axe, I will stop army on the border. If our generation would be in the same situation, we would be speaking Russia in this interview. All so right. But yeah, I was aware, and it's very a fresh thing in Finland. And every year when there's Independence Day, those same stories come back in the biggest newspapers, and you get to be aware of the at least the biggest heroes and the coolest stories of the war. So it's there was no surprise about where I was like heading with the background information. So it's very like Finnish people are very aware about it bounces back every year still, because I think as long as some of the veterans are still alive, it's not that far ago. It's just some of our grandparents were the ones in that war. We are a really young country. We haven't been around more than like a little bit over 100 years. So it is a big deal for us. Like, it's not glorifying what happened, but it just still comes up. And one reason was the village where I was born and spent my childhood is right on the Russian border. And my father's family farm is 7 kilometers on the border. So some of the first memories I have is asking like why there's this signs of a border zone, and why is there a cannon on the hill pointing to Russia. So it's again, to a kid, those the cool things, and it wasn't like I didn't think much of that when I was a kid, but now when I go back to memories when I was a child, like it was quite like I used to play with the cannon. It was really cool.
Wow.
Cool place. Like, well, you are 5 years old and there's a cannon on the hill.
Oh yeah, you're playing with that.
Yeah. So it's and then when I got older, I started to realize what it actually means. Like there was a border that was suddenly drawn almost through the farm, and there's the place where I went to, like, when I was a teenager, where I saw my first gig, or where I was in the first time in the disco. Very awkward, embarrassing first times when I was in the disco in the teenage. That same building was used as like a headquarters on the war that followed after the Winter War. So, and there were some like a what is the word? Not statues, but these like memorial places.
Right. Okay.
It was like I was aware, and I got to get more aware when I got older. But there's a lot of things happened in that area also where I was born. So
it's crazy to think that there are people that are in our age group, you know, that we still know to this day that went through those type things, you know, to where you grew up with a cannon, you know, aimed at Russia on your land, and you know, now we're in a place in the world where words hurt. You know,
yeah.
like,
yeah, it's there's been quite a big change. Like I think if you break down the history in like 100-year sequences, each one has a huge change when you go back to like 1,000 years. But at least the approach and everything has changed quite a lot lately. So it's I wouldn't be able to change the time where I live in, but I'm starting to feel more and more like wrong time and in the wrong place kind of thing, looking at where the world is going, especially now that I did the digging with the history and reading about the mentality and work morality and everything. They didn't complain. Of course, they didn't have the social media at that time. But and one thing I need to point out that was also like very inspiring and very, had quite a big impact to me. Like every time when there's a war, the losing country has this thing called like war debt. That's my direct translation. I don't know what the actual like a military term is, but you owe something like in industry stuff or finance or whatever to the other country. And Finland is the only country in the war history that paid the whole amount in full.
Wow.
While building the country again. So that generation, not just that they participated in the war, and of course the small country being able to get the ammo and the clothing and the guns and whatever you need to battle from a country. We have a third of the population of the metropolitan area of London. And that's just one town in England.
Yeah.
And being able to like just be fully armored and be in a battle for years. And then when that is over, then you start paying to the other country, and then you start building your country. And again, now we come to the generation where you get offended by everything.
Right.
Basically everything, almost. Yeah. But it is quite a huge leap when you just look back to that time and then come back to this time.
When did you first start touring the world and start traveling around and seeing, different cultures and the States and Canada and things like that?
I think the first European tour we did 2006 with one of the previous bands. We didn't get to come to North America until 3 years ago.
Okay.
The visa and everything, it doesn't make it very easy to start touring in there. We did actually one tour in Canada before we did North America, because no visas, no tax paper issues. It's like touring in Europe. The flight is longer, but when it comes to like paperwork and preparing, it's just the same like touring in Europe. But especially US, in past few years, the visa application times has gotten a lot longer. It's gotten more expensive. You need to have lawyers in North America to deal that you can't actually apply it yourself anymore. And there started to be events like quite big bands not actually receiving the visas when the tour started. So it's always in bad way exciting when you are waiting the reply from the embassy. You have the flights booked, you have the merch printed out, everything is ready, and then it's just one person just looking at your passport like, and then like, what kind of stamp do you get? Are you going to get on the tour or not? So
was there much culture shock to you, seeing different, coming from Finland and going into, the Canada, the States and around Europe, things like that?
I think that not the shock, but the Europe was a little like I was probably less aware of certain areas in Europe. Again, there's so much cultural differences when you go from Netherlands to Germany to Italy to Greece, for example, or then the whole very East European when you are going towards Russia. So there's a lot of things are changing, but it was like a opposite of a cultural shock when I came to US the first time, because I kind of thought like when I watched a lot of movies, and naturally North America is in like 99% of the movies, and I thought like those stereotypes are a little bit like heavily underlined, but when I got there, like, nah. I kind of felt like I've seen all of this somewhere before. So right. It wasn't a shock. It was more like I was really, really excited to get to tour there, waiting for like 15 years with my previous bands. And yeah, I really enjoyed seeing that everything that I saw or heard was actually there. And again, of course, same with Europe. It's a really vast country, so there's every state is different. And I did also enjoy how easily it is to actually, even for me, to notice the changes. Like I could tell like where we roughly are without somebody telling me, because
seen enough movies.
Seen enough movies. Yeah,
we must still be in the South. There's a lot of strange accents and
I think it's like I could place a lot of everything when I was outside the bus window, or we got to the venue, or we drove through the city with the bus to get to the venue. I could have a movie reference of each scenery.
That's awesome. It actually looks like you guys have shows coming up in May. Do we still see that coming on, or do you think it's going to happen, or what?
Not canceled yet, but it doesn't look good.
Yeah,
it doesn't look good. The new variants of the virus are fucking things up really badly, and there's been a lot of like vaccine distribution issues in Europe. Same with Finland. So we are late off the schedule when it comes to the vaccine, and the virus is doing what it's designed to do.
Right.
Whether it doesn't matter who is the designer, what do you believe, but this is how nature works. That's one of the life forms in this earth, and it's just trying to survive and come up with better versions of itself to be able to be more effective in its own things. So there will be more different variations coming. You don't need to be a scientist to know that.
Right.
So it doesn't look very good for this year. At the moment we are prepared to fully come back with touring in March or April 2022.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of the bigger festivals here and things like that are starting to post dates later in the year, towards September, October. Some bands are kind of popping up with some tour dates here and there towards the end of the year. But when I saw that you guys had tour dates in May, I was like, this is pretty optimistic. I don't know how Europe's doing with COVID. It
is really optimistic, but of course, the agencies, promoters, venues are in so tight place that they will cancel only when they have to. Right. So everybody's in this weird limbo, and you are just hoping better news, but reading something else on a weekly basis. But I don't think it will happen. I would hope, but then again, I think the whole thing would go over more quickly if we would keep the restriction a little bit tighter.
Right.
We already had the second wave. If there's a third one coming, that's gonna destroy already plans from the next year, because we now see the reaction time. This thing started a year ago, and things are worse than better at the moment. So you can start calculating how easily it is for the governments and countries to fight this whole thing. So rushing too early will probably backfire.
Yeah,
that's just looking back the past 12 months. Again, I'm not being the scientist here or giving any solid predictions, but if you look at back the past 12 months, things been going wrong. We are in a worse situation than we were or supposed to be. All the optimistic predictions failed.
Yeah, I mean, when the first lockdowns happened, it was supposed to be like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And we were going to get back to normal. So now that's been a year ago. So pretty insane.
It is.
Did you enjoy the live stream, doing a live show virtually?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
The second one we just did was a little bit easier. It was like the studio live kind of thing. So it felt a little bit more natural because you weren't trying to entertain an audience that is not there.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a weird thing. What I've heard from other bands, it's not like those are not selling that well. It doesn't compensate much at all. Maybe if you're a behemoth and you can rent a church in Poland and start burning stuff up, and you enter the venue with riding horses, stuff like that, then it's special enough. But if it's just a streaming gig, I would wait 1 year just to go and see a real gig. Then,
yeah.
So it's a very complicated product because there was no demand. It just came up because of the situation. Nobody wants to see a gig on their laptop or
right.
TV. We want to go to the venue. So, and the feeling performing to cameras is really as far as it can be for even a shitty gig with the real audience. You have even if they throw bottles, that's interactions.
Right.
That's some kind of communication between the band. If they want to inflict violence and pain because you suck, that's still honest feedback in the moment. But when you're just staring at the camera, the only thing you can think, why am I here? When is still going to be end? Hope we never do this again. That's three key points of making a streaming gig. So
Yeah, I would much rather have a bottle thrown at me than like a thumbs down on the YouTube.
Yeah, because it's just, and all the preparation and everything, when you know that this is gonna kind of suck, it's not helping. Its attitude probably makes it even worse, but you lose all the excitement and what you have just preparing for a live gig. Everything it's just, I would never want anything to feel as much of a job than doing a streaming gig that did.
Yeah, I mean, and plus, if you're playing to cameras and it's being streamed and people are watching it a little bit more critically, rather than if you're at a live show, you hit a bad note, you're at a live show, you're having fun, you're moving around on stage, you missed a note, so what? But I think if you're playing to cameras and you miss a note, people are like, oh, Tuomas hit a bad note.
And probably they even though don't they're not that critical, but when you are playing, the self-criticism is in a complete different level, because of course then you think then you are only one in the camera, there's nobody else playing than you, and everybody is just with the notebook in front of the screen, like calculating mistakes. So yeah,
I mean, that's probably my own personal insecurities, probably just putting that onto a live stream. But I would be, I don't know if I could do it. I hate the studio. I hate someone just staring at me playing. I can play in front of a million people, but you put me in front of a camera, I'm probably going to freak.
Yeah, that's a weird thing, because the small or shitty or big or awesome audience, it doesn't matter. You get in this different kind of like a mindset and zone. But when there's for example, in studio, I could never have anybody there except the engineer when I do vocals. Completely impossible idea.
Yeah.
Nobody cannot be there. But I can just, even if I know that my throat is fucked up, I've been touring for 6 weeks in a row, I'm probably going to sound really horrible tonight. But it's just, when it happens in front of the whole live environment, then it's okay. You just do your best and you don't think too much about it. But the camera thing is, it is. I really hope we don't need to do any of those again. And probably we wouldn't do anyway, unless we come up with some really cool, special idea, which I have no idea what that would be. So.
Yeah, it's funny. Even like some of the most amazing singers on the planet will sing in the studio in the dark with only like the engineer there, or maybe even just engineer themselves now. Now that's a possibility. But yeah, you can get some of the most amazing dudes out there that you would think that it would have no issues and no insecurities, and they get them in the studio and they're like, no one can be here, and all the lights will be off. It's nuts. What is what's the rest of the year look for you like for you guys? Are you going to do another EP if you're not going to tour, or where are we looking? Do you have a home rig to do this? I mean, is this a home studio type stuff, or do you go record?
I'm way too 80s to record my own stuff. It would make a lot of sense. I used to actually have my own studio, but nowadays I enjoy a lot more than even with the demos I do. I have a few friends that I always make the demos, and the other friends that own actual studios where we go do the recordings. It's especially in the past year, it's been very like an important social thing, because you don't get to see people. Like most of my friends are from the band or the crew or from the studios. We've been having same crew for 12 years now. Like it was even before Wolfheart was started. I had the same guys with the music videos and then sound engineers and crew on the tour, and of course the bandmates in different bands. Now suddenly all of that is taken out. You don't get to see anybody. So going to studio or at friends' place and working with some new music has been one of like the social highlights on this year. And the EP is coming out in 1 month now, but I already started writing for the next album, which no idea when it's going to come out. Probably we're going to start recording the album already in summer, because we have the time. Like at this moment, we rather sit on the new album a little bit longer than just put the band on complete like stop mode. So it's Gonna start working with the new album. Gonna start actually the pre-production and the demo recordings next weekend. So that's we're gonna keep busy in that way, but no idea when we actually gonna get the tour again. So it's a question mark of a year.
You're right. I did want to say the one note I do have is the acoustic guitar sounds on this EP are phenomenal. Like they're in Hereditary and in the acoustic track alone. I was just like, oh my God, this sounds so good. So there's another compliment for you that you don't know how to take.
I'm very like awkward at the moment, but I can shift that compliment to the actual instruments because I've been getting a lot of feedback with the acoustic sounds, and I mean also I think it's already mixed now. Was supposed to be today or yesterday. My other band called Dawn of Solace that is not mainly, but half of the stuff is acoustic, and then there's it's no growling vocals and stuff, but. The key point is baritone acoustic. Mm-hmm. Like it has so much deeper bottom and a different way of resonating, of course, because it's the guitar that I have is built for A or G tuning. So it is as a sound, I would never be able to play a regular acoustic guitar anymore.
Right.
I tried, so it is not a compliment towards me, actually. It's just I don't know when it actually happened, but past 6 years, I've only owned and played baritone instruments, like variation with the scale, but yeah, I don't play with normal instruments anymore. I need to have the certain bottom, and the latest custom guitar I made was built for me was 28-inch. So the latest recordings I did was in G, and thickest string is 80. I don't know. Do you play guitar yourself?
Yeah, I play bass, but yeah, no, I'm following along.
Yeah, but yeah, the thickest string is 80, so it's
oh God,
yeah, you have some of those strings in the bass already.
Yeah, right.
So, and when you get used to that sound, the acoustic guitar, the thickest string is 74. So when you get used to that, like a low end resonating sound, then that's no way to go back to normal instruments. But that is the reason why the acoustic sounds so big also alone, because it's basically like a bass and a guitar playing at the same time.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. Well, as we wrap this up, I did want to say one more time, Wolfheart Skull Soldiers EP out March 5th, Napalm Records, man. Tuomas, thanks for taking the time. And now I need to go on to get into my Finnish history and learn more about the Winter War.
Yeah, awesome.
All right, man. Thanks for taking the time today.
Thank you.